Have any of you just sat down and thought of correlations, like how one thing is almost exactly like the other, or how one thing causes another, or in some cases, how one thing is just like the other? The two women we're talking about are Jada Smith and Gabrielle Union. So, we're going to draw up a couple of things here, and I'm going to go through some bullet points. And with these bullet points, I'm going to show you exactly how they operate individually with their own men, but at the same time, almost as though they're twins. Okay, so bear with me. I will be reading some things and then I'll break it down for you, and you can see whether or not I'm right or wrong. Now, the things I'm going to give you are traits, and I'm going to break down these traits into their individual actions towards their significant other. Number one, belittling or mocking. Now, this would be a toxic person constantly doing belittling acts towards their partner, disparaging remarks, putting down their achievements and calling them all kinds of names that's outside of the purview of their manhood. Both Jada and Gabrielle have done this. It could be a tactic to try and make the man kind of fall beneath them, to make him feel less so that they can be more and therefore have power over him. But it seems to be also a trait of certain insecure women who are so insecure that they need to establish dominance over the people that say love them in order to feel validated in how they live. Ironically, both Jada and Gabrielle Union have that trait. Number two, undermining confidence. Jada has been one of the most notorious at doing that. I think you'll see Gabrielle Union doing it more low-key by the way she handles Dwyane Wade's kids, but they still do it nonetheless. A challenging, you have to be under me, I'm the boss, you're just kind of there along for the ride. Manipulation and control is number three. Do I need to say more about that? If you watch the Red Table, I think you can see that in spades. When you watch Gabrielle and Dwyane in public, does he seem as though he's trying to make sure every time he looks over that he's staying within the lines that she has set forth? She doesn't look to him. Not ever. Go back and look for yourself and you'll see he's always constantly looking down. He'll adjust himself and look again and adjust and look. I believe that's a conditioned thing. She has conditioned him to seek her approval over his own life, but she never has to for him. Control. Isolation from support systems. You can't have this friend, you can't have that friend, you can't go here, you can't go there without me or without my say-so. They both possess that as well. When was the last time you saw Dwyane Wade out and about doing anything? Even when he does go out, you hear their complaints about him going out and doing his own thing. They cannot stand to have an independent soul next to him. Ironically, a lot of these traits are narcissistic. They fall perfectly within the confines of narcissism. Emotional blackmail. If you even think about doing, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to expose everything about you if you. It's an attempt to keep someone subservient, in line. You can't do what I don't do. Just you shut up, sit down, and be a good little boy. Either by guilt, by fear, using obligations, using money. It's a very good tactic to use if you don't have anything else going for you. Gaslighting. This one is more along this lines, making the man question his own reality and sanity. Of the two, Jada has perfected that with Will Smith. This man cannot function now without her name and without her say, to the point where he would sacrifice his own career over nothing. That is what I say is the perfection of gaslighting. And when you try to turn something back on them, well, you did, I wouldn't have done it if, you'd always be the one that gets blamed. Public harassment and embarrassment. So deliberately doing it to them in public, not at the home, although I'm sure it happens there too, but mostly so that other people, including the person's fan base, can get to your side or at least think less of them. And it's not even for your own gain. It's simply for the demise of the other person. That's pretty sick. But they both have it down pat. Financial domination. You make money, I make more. Oh, you play basketball and you make films? I can do better. Look, he talked about me. Go do something about it. Your money means nothing because I'm the one that takes care of it anyway. Even Will said this. I give it to her. She's the one that owns it. It's hers, it's hers, it's hers. The engrossment of that person in Jada's life, Will, I mean, has forced him out of his own securities into hers. Dwyane has just become a shell of a man himself. Anywhere he goes, he's overshadowed by Miss Union. His kids aren't even his anymore. On a side note, I seriously believe that the way the child, a son, turned out is a direct result of what Gabrielle does at home. I don't even need to see half the stuff that she does to him to see it borne out in Dwyane's son. All of it is borne out in one body in their expression. I cannot stand being a male because if being a male is what dad is, and that's how, I'm good, I will be something else. I want the power. So who's the power dynamic in there? You can make your own assumptions about that one. And disrespecting boundaries. Ignoring or disrespecting the person's personal boundaries, whether emotional, physical, or digital. Now, that last one is a notorious trait of modern females. Because they don't even trust themselves, they figure they can put that distrust on other people. So things like, I'm going to need to check your personal things all the time, but you can't check mine. I need to know where you're going to be at every step and moment of the day, but you don't need to know where I am. And I can do whatever I need to do for my happiness, but you can't. Your only job is to make me happy. And they both have perfected that requirement of their spouses. They both live in this bubble of superiority. Like I said, though, there is one more seasoned than the other, and that is indeed Jada. She has had way more experience manipulating not just men, but especially Will. With all the infighting that's happening with Gabrielle Union and Dwyane Wade, you would think maybe he would be a man enough to step out hip toward. He's play sports. There's some testosterone there left. Nope. Here's why. The world right now is, let's just be frank about this, okay? As much as people want to say it's a patriarchy, men are the most hated sex on this planet. What patriarchy are we talking about? We die at a higher rate. We commit suicide at a higher rate. We're more homeless. We're more imprisoned. What patriarchy are we talking about here? Men can't get custody of their kids? Come on now. Come on. You're the first to go to jail if you even breathe too hard on a woman. Meanwhile, she can pick up a pot, a spoon, a pan, the couch, run you over with the car, hit you with a golf club. You're a man. You're supposed to be able to take it. She don't hit that hard. Patriarchy, though. And these two women have perfected that little niche to fit in there. You see, they are immune. If Gabrielle tomorrow was to come out and say, I'm getting a divorce, she would be hailed as what? A strong, independent woman. Even after Jada has said, we have not been together for almost 7 years, she's looked at, oh, she's taking care of her mental health. Like, what? So you are trying to hold a man that wants nothing to do with you, by your own admission, under the auspices of a relationship that you say you don't have. And when he does try to step away from it, he's the problem? He's the problem. Now, these two women have done one very major thing in their life. They have perfected the art of narcissistic behavior, and they have perfected the art of usurping authority. Now, mind you, everybody knows what Too Strong is about and how we view the dynamic of a relationship, including, and more likely, marriage. We see it the way God sees it. Now, I understand people watching this video may not see it that way, but here's my biggest question to you who don't see it that way. Does a relationship work 50-50 or 100-100? What happens when a relationship works 150 to 50? Heck, what happens when a relationship works 175 to 25? Do you consider that fair? Put away the religious thing for a minute. Do you consider that fair? Why would you consider the person who's only committing 25% of their energies to a relationship the independent, strong one? Meanwhile, the one who is draining themselves of all energy to make that person happy is considered the one that's the problem. That's how crazy society has become. Men, in general, men are the ones required to do every single thing 100% right with no wiggle room, while women are seen as the ones that can do anything they damn well please with no repercussions. You don't need to look much further than even the justice system. And these two women know that. So tomorrow, Jada gets up and is getting tired of Will. And we've said this before, that she's trying to turn him into what Tupac was. So Will gets up tomorrow and he becomes a thug, and she realizes that, and she says, you know what? I'm throwing you to the curb after she gets what she wants. You know what she's going to be called? Hero. She's walking away from that man. He's changed on her. But that's what she wanted, though. You see, the problem here is that we as a society have moved so far away from individual responsibility and put our happiness on other people that we no longer know what happiness is. Those women have no clue what it would take to make themselves happy. They can't even make themselves happy, which is why no man can make them happy, which is why they also go to manipulating the children. Here's the other thing they both have in common, which is why I don't think it's the men's fault. Listen carefully. They both, in their relationships, have children that have gone completely off the rails in the sexual identification location. You find that kind of weird? Do you find it kind of odd that they both have children that don't want to be the sex that they were born? One of them, male, and the other one, both male and female. Because they're seeing something that they don't want to be in the spouse that's being abused. Dwyane Wade's son just became a girl, but they're not, okay? They decided to dress like a girl. They're dressing him as a girl. That is a direct result of what he sees at home, and he does not want to be identified with the male in the house. All kids take trauma differently. We understand that. And I believe that that is his expression of what he's been seeing in the home. The same way with both of Will Smith's kids, who have gone through all kinds of identity shifts. One looked like he was like a former mummy, for crying out loud. They are so broken because the house itself, at the head of the fish, is rotten and broken. None of them make any sense anymore. You got this mom. Think of it from the kid's perspective. Your mom and your dad are not seeing things eye to eye. But every time your mom talks, your dad can't say a word because he's always looking as though he's about to fall apart. He can't correct. He can't say anything to defend himself, because at every turn she turns around and says, "This is not about you. Shut up, shut up, shut up." After a while, the kids realize dad's not dad, mom's dad. I think that's what happened with both of those kids. Same thing with Gabrielle Union and Mr. Wade. But the one common thread is the behavior of the women. Those two in particular. So what is it that caused them to get that way? Is it a man that was there before? Well, we know Jada ain't all there since Tupac. But I don't even know she was all there during Tupac. She's different. As for Miss Union, I couldn't tell you. Okay, let's say that Dwyane Wade is gay. Let's say he is. Then why are you still with him? You know why? Because you can still manipulate a gay guy. You're having a power dynamic over this man that you cannot let go of. It is too satisfying. It feels too good to you. In essence, what you're feeling is akin to a serial killer. Every day you take a little piece of this man and put it to death, and you just feel justified and happy as a clam. They both share this trait. Jada is watching in real time as Will just disintegrates before her. And she has no remorse. You went and slept with this man's son's friend, and you called it an entanglement. And then you rub it in his face, and you expect him to accept it. The other gal, she can do whatever she wants. I'm going to make sure that your kid's a girl. I'll talk to you however I want. I'll put you in your place. After all, I'm pretty and I make money. They both although one more extreme than the other, share one very important thing. Neither one of them know what love is. And in so, they pass that. Hate is what it really is, because if you don't love, you hate. It's one or the other. The person you hate, you dedicate your whole life to harassing them, to make yourself feel more accepted, because you don't understand love. In your mind, love is this: whatever I want, I get. However I want to feel good, I'll do to make myself feel good. Apart from gossip and apart from hearsay, we can look at things very tangibly. A proper functioning marriage is not exemplified in either one of them relationships. Not one. The man ain't the head, and the woman is not obedient. In both of those occasions and in both of those relationships, the man is almost non-existent. Did she push Dwyane Wade to the gay lifestyle because none of the other two women that he had been with say anything about it? Find that kind of odd. Did Jada push Will in a certain direction? I have no doubt about. I really don't. I don't know if Will had any tendencies before, but whatever tendencies he may have had before, she solidified. She made concrete his behavior, because he kept striving to be something he could never be for somebody who would never love him. I don't know if Will will snap out of that, but I know one person that will try to keep him from snapping out of it, and that would be Jada. And I don't know if Dwyane Wade will ever sober up enough to shake his son out of the stupor that he's in, because I don't know he'll be allowed to do that. I don't know that he will actually be given the freedom by his wife to tackle that topic with his child. I think she'll keep it that way, as a reminder that the next time you feel like stepping out of line, I can do it to another kid, and I'll do it to another kid, and I'll do it to another kid. This is how I keep my pressure on you. This is how I keep power over you. This is how I shut you up. The instant you tried to talk out, I'll call you something. I'll say something that might, well, I don't know, but I'm just saying. You'll say something about me. It'll get my ear. People will start talking about it, and I'll shut up because I want it to go away. To the men out there, you really have to watch, because they'll wear a pretty face and they'll act really nice, and then once they got you, you're gone. Women, same thing. But because this discussion is about two of the females, I had to talk to the brothers. It's dangerous. Look, I told my son the other day, I am stoked out of my mind that I don't have to deal with the kind of pool they have to pick from when it comes to females. Like, I'm so glad that I'm not at the age of dating right now. I have never been more happy to be old. Never been. Because you have superficial, surface, plastic women out there. And the ones that do want to nurture children and to be there for their husband, and they kind of get overlooked because there's another group of men who have now been indoctrinated to look for women like Jada and Gabrielle Union. So the strong men stay single, the strong women stay single, and it's all by design to eradicate family. They never find each other because one doesn't want to take the risk finding one like Jada. And women don't want to take a risk of finding a crazy man. And so what did they decide? We're done. We're just not going to bother with it. And this is how we destroy humankind. You have two of the biggest examples of what not to do. And I'm just asking women and men out there to follow the example and watch it, see it, and avoid this kind of behavior. Because in the long run, the people that are going to suffer the most are going to be the offspring. Because while Will and Dwyane might be suffering individually, mentally, and socially, and all that stuff, their children are even worse off. Because now they're sexually confused, gender confused, and they have no place to call home. So why are we covering it? Because we know we have single men and single women out there that follow here. They talk to us all the time. You have to really put your radars on. And most importantly, the only real number one thing you have to do is to keep God in front, because he's the only one that can really decipher right from wrong. So unlike Jada and unlike Gabrielle, you need to pick the right path. And unlike Will and unlike Dwyane, you got to pick the right spouse. And you can't do either without God.